The perpetual acid rain of Neo-Aethelburg sheets down in shimmering, neon-tinted curtains, turning the soaring megastructures of the upper city into a blurred tapestry of impossible light. Down here in the Underspire, the light is a sicklier thing, bleeding from flickering holograms and the garish signs of illicit businesses, their glow reflecting in the oily, garbage-choked water flooding the streets. This is my world, a world of shadows and desperation, and tonight the desperation is a cold, hard knot in my stomach. My name is Kaelen, though on the streets they call me Key. I'm a Cortex courier. I carry things in my head, corporate secrets, blackmail data, illicit blueprints, all encrypted and slotted directly into my neural implant. It's a living, usually. But tonight it's a death sentence. The job was simple, a standard data retrieval from a mid-level OmniCorp exec looking to defect. The payday was astronomical, more cred than I'd see in a year of standard runs. It was enough. Enough to finally get Lyra, my sister, the real, top-tier medical treatment she needs, the kind that doesn't involve back-alley surgeons and scavenged biotech. I see her face now, pale and drawn in a sterile medbay cot, as I clutch my side, feeling the warm, sticky seep of blood through my synth leather jacket. The meat went sideways. It was an ambush. OmniCorp security, clad in matte black armor and moving with a chilling, synchronized precision, stormed the derelict arcology. They weren't there to arrest anyone. The air filled with the sharp, ozone-tinged crackle of pulse fire. I ran, using every trick I know, every dank alley and rusting maintenance conduit in the Underspire. But a ricochet caught me, a searing lance of pure agony that shattered my primary neural link. I can feel the damage, a persistent, staticky screech in the back of my skull, a constant error message flickering at the edge of my vision. The data packet is safe, locked in a partitioned sector of my mind, but I can't access it, can't complete the handoff, can't get paid. Without a functioning link, the data might as well be deleted. And so might Lyra. Gasping, I lean against a grimy wall, the rough, cold permacrete a stark reality against my feverish skin. The rain soaks through my clothes, mingling with the blood. I have one option left. A name whispered in the darkest corners of the data haunts, the pharmacist. A cybersurgeon who operates outside the corporate oversight committees, who doesn't ask questions if your cred is good. His clinic is a tomb, buried deep in the bowels of a derelict subterranean parking complex, the air thick with the smell of rust, antiseptic, and something else, something metallic and organic like old blood and ozone. I staggered down the crumbling ramp, my boots echoing in the vast, hollow space. Flickering emergency strips cast long, dancing shadows. The clinic itself is a repurposed storage container, its rusted door marked only by a single, pulsing violet hologram of a caduceus with a serpent that glitches and stutters. I hammer my fist against the metal, the sound unnaturally loud in the oppressive silence. The door slides open with a harsh grating sound, revealing a figure silhouetted against the harsh, clinical light within. The pharmacist is a tall, gaunt man, his face obscured by a polished chrome breathing apparatus and a pair of multi-lensed optical enhancers that gleam with a cold, insectal intelligence. He doesn't speak, just gestures for me to enter with a long-fingered hand that is more articulated metal than flesh. The inside is a chaotic fusion of a butcher's shop and a server farm. Biological parts float in glowing tanks of amber fluid, while racks of gleaming cyberware and tangled skeins of fiber-optic cables hang from the ceiling like metallic ivy. I need a new neural link, I rasp, my voice raw. Top of the line. Now, legal models are traceable. Corporate tags. You are running. You need something quieter. His voice is a synthesized monotone, devoid of emotion. He moves to a sealed cryo unit, fog spilling out as it opens. He removes a neural chassis, unlike anything I've ever seen. It's not the dull gray alloy of standard corporate issues. This is a shimmering, opalescent weave, delicate as a spider's web, humming with a faint, internal luminescence. This is an ether weave. Prototype. No tags. No registry. A ghost. He holds it up. It will bond with your wetware, become you. The price is double my standard fee. I push a data slate across the stained metal table, the full advance payment from the job blinking on its screen. It's everything I have. Just install. The world dissolves into a searing, white-hot pain that is both agonizingly physical and terrifyingly digital. It feels like my skull is being cracked open, not with a tool but with pure, raw information, a screaming torrent of code that floods my synapses, rewriting pathways that have been mine since birth. The pharmacist's clinical light burns through my closed eyelids, and I can smell the ozone of his surgical lasers, the coppery tang of my own blood, and the strange, floral scent of the biogel he uses to facilitate the etherweave's integration. My body arches against the restraints on the cold surgical slab, a silent scream trapped in my throat as fire races along every nerve ending. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stops. There is only a profound, echoing silence, a void where the constant, staticky pain of my broken link used to reside. I am floating in a dark, warm ocean, weightless and disconnected. I open my eyes. The world is sharper, hyper-defined. The grime on the ceiling of the clinic resolves into individual swirling patterns. I can hear the faint hum of the cryo unit's power cell, the drip of water from a leaking pipe 3 rooms away, the soft, almost imperceptible whir of the pharmacist's optical lenses as he monitors my vitals. It's overwhelming, a sensory avalanche. I sit up, my movements fluid, effortless. The wound in my side is neatly sealed with a synth flesh graft. The persistent error messages are gone. In their place is a new, quiet hum of potential, a feeling of immense, untapped bandwidth waiting to be used. The integration is optimal. The pharmacist's monotone voice cuts through the silence. He gestures to a reflective panel on the wall. The payment was sufficient. Our business is concluded. The face that looks back is mine, but the eyes. My irises now hold a faint, shimmering, opalescent glow, like mother-of-pearl lit from within. The ghost in the machine has left its mark. I don't have time to ponder it. Lyra's time is running out. I access the new link, the etherweave. It's like stepping from a cramped, dark closet into a vast, sunlit cathedral. The encrypted data packet is right there, pristine and accessible. I initiate the handoff protocol. In seconds, a complex series of data channels open and close, a silent, invisible transaction occurring in the space between heartbeats. The confirmation pings in my mind, a soft choral chime. The creds are transferred. Lyra is saved. A wave of relief so powerful it makes me dizzy washes over me. I did it. I stumble out of the clinic, back into the oppressive, rain-slicked gloom of the Underspire. But for the first time in years, the darkness feels like it has a crack of light. I head for the nearest public data terminal, a rusted kiosk flickering under a broken awning, to transfer the funds to the med bay. My fingers dance across the haptic interface, the commands feeling instinctive, faster than ever before. The transaction is almost complete when it happens. A flicker at the edge of my vision. Not a glitch, but a full-blown hallucination. For a single, heart-stopping second, the grimy kiosk, the rain, the street, it all vanishes. I am standing in a pristine, white laboratory. Sunlight, real sunlight, streams through a large window, illuminating a complex holographic schematic of a neural network that I instinctively recognize as the etherweave. A man in a clean, white coat stands with his back to me, his hands moving through the hologram, adjusting its delicate, shimmering strands. Then it's gone. I'm back in the Underspire, gasping, my hands braced against the cold, wet terminal. What the hell was that? I mutter, shaking my head, blaming the stress, the new cyberware, the residual trauma. That was my memory. It's a man's voice, calm, educated, but etched with a profound and weary sadness. It doesn't come from my ears. It resonates directly inside my skull, a thought that is not my thought, clear and undeniable. I freeze, my blood turning to ice water in my veins. Who said that? I whisper, my voice tight with a rising panic. I spin around, but the alley is empty save for a scavenger synth dog rooting through a pile of refuse. My name is Dr. Aris Thorne. I built the architecture you are now using. I am currently a non-corporeal consciousness, residing within its core processing matrix. A ghost, if you will. No, this is cyberpsychosis. This is implant rejection. This is not happening. I start walking, then running, my boots splashing through the oily puddles, as if I can physically escape the voice inside my head. You're a glitch. A fragment of corrupted data. My flight through the Underspire is a frantic, panicked blur, a desperate attempt to outrun the phantom living in my synapses. I duck under sagging steam pipes that hiss like angry serpents, leap over overflowing gutters that smell of chemical waste and decay, and push through crowds of augmented laborers whose faces are as gray and worn as the permacrete around us. All the while, his voice is a calm, relentless tide in my mind, refusing to be silenced. Your physiological stress indicators are spiking, Kaelen. Elevated heart rate, adrenal overload. You cannot run from me. I am not an external pursuer. I am a tenant in the very house of your consciousness. I snarl, skidding to a halt in a deserted alleyway choked with the skeletons of discarded electronics. I press the heels of my hands against my temples, as if I could physically squeeze him out. The rain, a constant, mournful drizzle, soaks my hair and runs in cold rivulets down my neck. You are a glitch. A data ghost, a fragment of corrupted code from a black market surgeon's filthy workshop. You are not real. Was it not real? Can your mind conjure the specific scent of ionized air from a holographic emitter, a scent you have never encountered before? My breath comes in ragged, shuddering gasps. He's right. The memory was too perfect, too detailed. I had felt the warmth of that artificial sun on my skin, smelled the clean, sterile air of a world miles above the Underspire's filth. It was a memory, not a hallucination. I created the ether weave, Aris continues, his tone softening from clinical observation to something resembling pity. It was designed to be a bridge, a true symbiosis between human intuition and machine precision. OmniCorp wanted to weaponize it, to use it for mass behavioral conditioning, to turn every citizen into a compliant, predictable node in their network. When I refused, they terminated my contract. Permanently. The pharmacists salvaged the prototype from my lab after they incinerated my body. This isn't cyberpsychosis. This is a corporate murder, and I am the crime scene. The data I delivered, I whisper, the horror dawning on me like a slow, sickening sunrise. The OmniCorp defector, the payday. A final test of the ether weave's capabilities in a field agent. You were never meant to survive the ambush. The fact that you did, and that you integrated my prototype so perfectly, makes you a walking, talking security breach. They will not stop until you are erased. The distant, ever-present hum of traffic and chatter dies abruptly, replaced by the synchronized, heavy footfalls of armored boots. From both ends of the narrow alley, figures clad in the matte black, featureless armor of OmniCorp enforcers step into view. Their helmeted heads scan the environment, and the red targeting lasers from their pulse rifles paint dancing dots on the wet walls around me, searching, hunting. They move with an unnerving, silent coordination, a pack of mechanical predators. My heart hammers against my ribs, a trapped bird beating itself to death. I'm cornered. The dumpster offers the only scant cover. This is it. This is how it ends in a filthy alley for a cred chit I've already spent. No. It is not. Aris's voice is suddenly different, stripped of its weary academic tone, now sharp, commanding, and alive with a fierce digital intensity. They are operating on a standard pursuit protocol. I wrote the vulnerability assessments for that protocol. I know its blind spots. You must do exactly as I say. 2 enforcers are highlighted in pulsing red at the alley's mouth, another 2 in crimson at the rear. Aris's voice is a rapid, precise stream of instruction. The dumpster's composition is primarily rusted iron alloy. Their standard-issue pulse rifles have a fractional recalibration delay when switching from organic to non-organic targets. You have one. 2 seconds. On my mark, kick the dumpster lid. The acoustic shock will provide a momentary sensory disruption. Then you will run directly toward the left-hand enforcer at the rear. I think my mind's screaming in protest. It is a calculated risk. His partner's firing line will be blocked for a crucial moment. Now, Mark. I lunge forward, driving my foot against the metal lid with all my strength, sending a deafening metallic clang reverberating through the narrow, rain-slicked canyon of the alley. The sound is a physical force, a shockwave that visibly staggers the two enforcers at the far end, their smooth, synchronized advance breaking for a single, crucial instant. Their helmeted heads twitch reflexively towards the source of the noise. As Aris predicted, the targeting lasers dancing around me waver and die. Now, left-hand enforcer. Go. My body is a coiled spring released, my movements fluid and unnaturally fast, guided by the shimmering green wireframe that paints the world over my vision. I am a blur of soaked synth leather and desperate motion, charging directly at the two hulking figures blocking my only escape route. I see the one on the right begin to bring his rifle to bear, the barrel starting to glow with a building, ozone-tinged charge. But his partner, the one on the left, is still half-turned, his body partially shielding me. For a heartbeat, I am in his shadow. Drop and slide. Now, I throw my weight forward, hitting the wet, grimy pavement in a controlled slide that sends a jarring vibration up my spine. A searing lance of blue-white pulse fire screams over my head, so close I feel the heat of its passage singe my hair. It slams into the dumpster behind me with a deafening asterisk crump asterisk of vaporizing metal. The enforcer on the right has fired, his shot intercepted by his own partner's armored form. The left-hand enforcer stumbles forward from the impact, his systems momentarily disrupted. His primary power cell is on his lower back, just above the pelvic plating. A sharp upward strike. Put all your force into it. I twist my body, ignoring the scrape of rough asphalt against my back, and drive my fist upward in a vicious, short-range arc. My knuckles, reinforced by some unknown property of the ether weave, connect with a specific, tiny seam in his black armor. There is a sickening crunch, a shower of brilliant blue-white sparks, and the smell of burnt circuitry. The enforcer lets out a choked, synthetic gurgle, his entire body seizing up before he collapses to the ground like a felled tree, his systems overloading in a cascade of failure. The second enforcer is already recalibrating, his rifle swinging down towards me as I scramble to my feet. I am exposed, helpless. The conduit. On your right. Tear it open. It's weeping a steady drip of steaming, chemical green fluid. I lunge, sinking my fingers into a corroded seam in the metal, and pull with a strength that isn't entirely my own. The metal shrieks in protest, tearing open like rotten fabric. A geyser of caustic coolant and live, sputtering fiber-optic cables erupts from the rupture, spraying across the enforcer. His armor sizzles and smokes, and his rifle shorts out with a loud pop. He stumbles back, clawing at his visor. I don't wait. I run, exploding out of the alley's mouth, and back into the marginally busier, neon-drenched thoroughfare. The shock of the cool, rain-filled air hits me like a physical blow. I just took down 2 Omnicorp enforcers. I just killed one. The reality of it is a cold stone in my stomach, warring with the frantic animal terror still coursing through my veins. Do not stop. They have already alerted the local surveillance grid. Your biometric signature is now their primary target. We must get off the grid. Completely. I gasp, weaving through a crowd of startled night market vendors and patrons, their augmented faces a mosaic of shock and fear as they press themselves against walls to avoid me. There is nowhere they can't see. A relic from my past, a failsafe I built into the city's old infrastructure. An analog sanctuary in a digital world. I can guide you, but you must trust me. And you must move faster than you ever have before. I feel a series of instinctual tugs, subtle shifts in perception that highlight a specific storm drain great 10 meters ahead. its rusted bars almost fused shut by years of neglect and grime. A drain. You want me to go into the sewers? The thought is a fresh wave of revulsion. The Underspire is bad, but what lies beneath it is the city's festering, forgotten circulatory system, a place of mutants, scavengers, and things best left unnamed. It is the only path they will not follow. Their sensors are useless in the soup of thermal and chemical noise down there. It is our only chance, Kaelen. The rusted iron grate groans in agonized protest as I pry my blood-slicked fingers beneath its weight, the metal scraping against wet concrete with a sound that sets my teeth on edge. Every nerve in my body is screaming, a raw exposed wire of adrenaline and terror. The acrid smell of vaporized armor plating and burnt ozone from the alley clings to my clothes, a ghost of the violence I just unleashed. Behind me, the distant, rising wail of Omnicorp enforcement sirens is growing louder, a digital hunting cry converging on my location. They are triangulating your position. You must go. Now. With a final, desperate heave that sends a sharp, white-hot pain lancing through my injured side, I wrench the grate aside, revealing a gaping, black maw that exhales a breath of damp, frigid air. The smell that wafts up is indescribable, a centuries-old cocktail of stagnant water, chemical runoff, biological decay, and the faint, metallic tang of rust. It is the smell of the city's forgotten guts. I don't allow myself to think. I drop into the darkness, my boots splashing into shallow, icy water that immediately soaks through to my skin. The impact jars my entire body. Above, the grate scrapes back into place, plunging me into an absolute, oppressive blackness so complete it feels like a physical weight on my eyes. The sirens are muffled, then distant, then gone, replaced by the steady, dripping echo of water and the frantic, thunderous beat of my own heart. I activate my ocular implant, the world shifting into a grainy, green-tinted nightmare of chiaroscuro. The tunnel is a vast, cylindrical artery of crumbling, pre-corporate permacrete, its curved walls weeping with slime and strange, phosphorescent fungi that cast sickly, pulsating light. The shallow, black water I stand in moves with a sluggish, oily current, carrying with it unidentifiable lumps of debris. Follow the main conduit south-southwest for approximately 200 meters. There will be a maintenance access hatch, long since decommissioned, on your left. I slosh forward, my movements clumsy and loud in the echoing silence. Every splash I make feels like a declaration of my presence to whatever else calls this place home. I hear skittering, scratching sounds from the impenetrable shadows just beyond the range of my low-light vision, the sounds of things that have adapted to a life without light. The air is thick, humid, and difficult to breathe, laden with spores and rot. This is your sanctuary. I whisper, my voice a hoarse, strained thing that the tunnel swallows greedily. A tomb for the things the city flushes away. Their eyes are always turned upward, towards the spires and the data streams. They forget the foundations upon which their empire is built. They forget the old, analog world that still ticks on beneath their feet, forgotten but not gone. This is freedom. Of a sort. It looks like it hasn't been opened in a century. It's sealed. Frozen solid, I say, my hope, which had been a faint, flickering ember threatening to extinguish completely. I run my hands over the icy, rough metal, feeling the utter, immovable finality of it. The wheel is an illusion. A decoy. The primary locking mechanism is a magnetic seal, controlled by a hidden keypad. The code is, it was my daughter's birthday. It is a pain that transcends his digital state, a ghost of a feeling that has not faded with the death of his body. I feel a sudden, unexpected pang of sympathy for this phantom in my head, this genius who built his own ghost and hid its activation code in a father's love. Following his silent guidance, my fingers find a nearly invisible seam in the wall beside the hatch. I press and a small, dust-covered panel slides back, revealing a simple 10-key input. The numbers glow with a faint, amber light. I enter the date he projects into my mind. There is no loud clang, no grinding of gears. Only a soft, deep asterisk thrum that I feel more than hear, and the faint scent of ozone. The massive hatch unlocks with a pressurized hiss, swinging inward on hinges that move with an impossible, well-oiled silence. Beyond it is not another sewer tunnel, but a small, clean, and perfectly preserved room. The air is dry and tastes of recycled oxygen and old paper. Soft, ambient light glows from panels in the low ceiling, illuminating. The hatch seals behind me with a soft, definitive hiss, cutting off the oppressive dampness and the spectral echoes of the sewer. The sudden silence in the small, hidden room is absolute, a palpable void after the constant, dripping cacophony of the tunnels. I stand frozen for a long moment, my chest heaving, not from exertion, but from the sheer, overwhelming shock of the transition. The air in here is bone-dry and tastes of sterile filtration, old paper, and the faint, sweet, almost imperceptible scent of sandalwood, a stark, almost violent contrast to the rot of the world outside. This is not a bunker. It is a reliquary, a tomb for a dream. Soft, recessed lighting panels set into the low, curved ceiling cast a warm, golden glow over a space no larger than a standard habitation pod. One wall is a single, seamless sheet of darkened, dormant monitor glass. Opposite it stands a utilitarian cot with a neatly folded gray blanket, and a small, pristine desk made of real, polished wood, a material I've only ever seen in historical data streams. Its surface is bare save for a single, framed holographic photograph that glows with a soft, internal light. But it is the third wall that steals the breath from my lungs. It is not a wall at all, but a floor-to-ceiling chalkboard, its dark slate surface covered in a sprawling, intricate tapestry of equations, circuit diagrams, and neural pathways, all rendered in a frantic, precise hand with white and colored chalk. This is the ghost's original manuscript, the birthplace of the Aethelburg. My sanctuary, Aris's voice whispers in my mind, and it is filled with a reverence and a sorrow so deep it feels like a physical ache in my own chest. I built it years ago, a paranoid scholar's retreat. I never imagined I would need it as a ghost. My eyes are drawn to the hologram on the desk. It shows a younger Aris, his face unlined, his eyes bright with an intelligence not yet weathered by betrayal, his arm wrapped around a girl with laughing eyes and hair the color of sunlight. They are standing on a grassy knoll under a blue sky, a vista so alien and beautiful it hurts to look at. "Your daughter," I say, my voice a hoarse croak. The word's not an accusation, but a quiet acknowledgement of the profound loss that built the very architecture now fused to my brain. "Ilara," he confirms, and the name is a prayer, a sob, a fragment of a shattered soul. "The reason I built the Aethelburg. I wanted to build a world worthy of her future. Omni Corp wanted to build a cage for millions of her. I am a courier, a street rat from the Underspire, caught in a war between a dead idealist and an all-powerful corporation. The self-pity and terror that have been my constant companions since the ambush began to curdle, transforming into something else, something harder and sharper, a cold, focused anger. The data I delivered," I say, turning from the photograph to face the room as if I can look him in the eye. "You called it the final component. For Project Chimera. What is it?" "It is a horrifyingly elegant design for a mass-produced, simplified Aethelburg unit, designed not for symbiosis, but for subjugation. A backdoor is highlighted in pulsing, venomous red. It is a kill switch," Aris states, his voice now cold and clinical, the grief shoved aside by the brutal necessity of the truth. "But not for deletion. For control. The data you carried was a proprietary harmonic resonance algorithm. Once integrated into the central nexus of Project Chimera, it will allow Omni Corp to broadcast a carrier wave across the entire city. Anyone with a Chimera unit in their head, which will be everyone, from the executives in the spires to the laborers in the Underspire, will become a puppet. Their emotions, their impulses, their very will, fine-tuned to corporate specifications. A perfectly docile, perfectly predictable workforce. A global, silent enslavement. I wasn't just carrying corporate secrets or blackmail data. I was carrying the key to the chains for every soul in Neo-Aethelburg. I delivered the weapon that will erase free will itself. My payment, the creds that are now securing Lyra's treatment, were funded by the future enslavement of millions, including my own sister. We have to stop it, I hear myself say, and the words are not a question but a vow. My own desperation, my own singular focus on saving Lyra, is suddenly dwarfed by a responsibility so immense it threatens to